I said from the get-go that I didn't think Mikel Arteta was handling well, and I use my time with Pavel Sinacek as an example. When I arrived at Newcastle, Kevin Keegan said, he didn't really have a number one. He had two number ones, and they were both equally vying for the shirt. I don't think that helped me or Pav. I think what that does is it puts a measure of doubt in your mind. It puts a feeling of, well, I'm one mistake away from getting dropped. And no goalkeeper wants to play in that circumstance. Have a number one. Tell the other one, listen, you're number two, but I'm looking for you to push that goalkeeper. I thought that was more the case when Shea came in. When Shea was a Dalglish signing, we knew that he was going to be number one, given the fact that Shea and Kenny Dalglish had worked together at Blackburn, albeit Tim Flowers was the number one at Blackburn at the time. So you knew, and I thought, listen, at that point, Kenny Dalglish put it to Pav and myself to push Shea to win that spot back, which I did in spells. I had a nice run of games in my third season there. I just feel that works better psychologically for both goalkeepers. I know what's being asked of me. Shea knows exactly where he stands, what's being asked of him. And I think Mikel Arteta made a similar mistake in that he started saying, well, I've got two number ones and I can play either, and I might change goalkeepers depending on my tactics. And something I wanted to do during a game, change goalkeepers for a tactical reason. That well, first of all, makes no sense. But then I think it doesn't serve either goalkeeper well. And as a result, I think David Raya, who is a fantastic goalkeeper with his feet, comes in and is playing a little bit within himself and is making mistakes as a result. And that can just spiral, because keeping in mind, we're talking about Aaron Ramsdale, who, well, I love Aaron Ramsdale. I think he's an outstanding goalkeeper. But whether you think David Raya is a better goalkeeper or not, that's another debate. But what we can't argue is that Aaron Ramsdale was in between the sticks for an Arsenal team that had their best finish in 25 years, something like so. So, and then immediately on the back of that, within 5 or 6 games, he finds himself out of the team. And I think I just don't think that was handled well. And as I say, now you see Raya making mistakes. Most of those mistakes he hasn't really been punished for, or the team hasn't been punished for, because they keep winning. But that doesn't get any easier, especially with the crowd have already started to kind of moan. I know Aaron Ramsey kind of coming back in, despite that slight, having to try to feature. So it makes for a really bad situation between those two.
We've given the situation with Ramsdale, as you mentioned, a very difficult situation. Do you think now perhaps his future is going to lie away from Arsenal very quickly?
I don't think so. If I'm Aaron Ramsdale, I'm not thinking about moving just yet. I've had wonderful success at Arsenal. And while David Raya has come in and quite clearly replaced you, and now you're relegated to playing in the Carabao Cup, albeit they got knocked out of the Carabao Cup last night. If you're seeing David Raya kind of maybe losing confidence, you're waiting for your chance. Those chances are going to come. Maybe again, once the new year rolls around and we're talking FA Cup, maybe it's that. Maybe Mikel Arteta starts using Ramsdale in the Champions League. But I think if I'm Aaron Ramsdale, I'm not pushing for a move in January just yet.
He said a minute ago about David Raya playing with his feet, and that seems to be the be-all and end-all for goalkeepers these days. Do you almost think managers place a bit too much emphasis on playing out with the back?
Yes, I do. I think, well, first of all, just I'm still a believer in a goalkeeper's first job is to keep the ball out the back of the net, and that ultimately is how and where goalkeepers should be judged, not on how good they are with their feet. That's an added bonus. But okay, if you think this goalkeeper is good, who's really good with his feet, is just as good a shot stopper as who I have right now, I understand managers going for that. I think the big challenge with that is this insistence on every pass from the back has to be, 10 yards, and you have to play out to the back. The day of just going long is wasted. And I think there's a danger to that. I always use Edison as an example. And Edison is the most effective of the goalkeepers in playing the ball out to the back, because if you press too high up, he will just ping a 60-yard ball over the top of you into the striker. So you cannot, you can try to press, but you also have to have that depth with you, which opens up the spaces for you to pass the ball out to the back. But if you press too high up in trying to win the ball back, he will hurt you just as easy. And too often, and I think David Raya is a perfect example of that, that ball over the top isn't being used as an option. It is play out to the back or nothing. So teams know that they can press and you're not going to hurt them over the top. And I don't care how good a passer of the football you are. If a team knows that that's all you're going to do, good teams will win it. They'll get their chances. And that for me is a big danger with how we've gone with goalkeepers now in terms of playing the ball out the back. At times, you just have to go long. At times, you just have to hoof it. And at times, as I say, as Edison does, you've got to be able to hurt the opposition with that 60-yard ball over the top.